Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where it is a classic weekend on the horizon. It is Derby weekend. The Cazoo Derby Festival is upon us. And to really annoy some of the purists out there, I'm just going to say it. Epsom Derby. That annoy Jonesy at all, Steve? No, Rixie doesn't mind. Don't mind that.
No, it annoys me.
Does it?
Yeah, and it shouldn't annoy me because I'm Irish, but it is the Derby. It's an English, it's a British thing, but there is only one Derby, the Derby.
I love it. What a start that is. That was a beautiful opening from you, Rixie, and we've annoyed you already, which is great. I'm
having one of those days where I'm easily to annoy, so come on, hurry up, will ya?
I love it. Joined by Declan Rix, by Matchbook's own Micheál Deasy, and by Steve Jones. And it's lovely to see everyone. Look, this is one of many Matchbook podcasts going out at the moment. A few different sports getting involved as well, because just around the corner is the Greyhound English Derby, the only Derby this weekend. And we've got a stellar team amassed for that for you. If you haven't seen it yet, we've got Harry Finley, Jimmy Barry Murphy. It's all hosted by Ian Fortune as well. Some great stories in that and some excellent insight too. And there's also this Euro 2020/21, very confusing, but it's this big football event which is coming up this summer. And it's the Euro 2020 Anti-Post Special. Our very own Aidan O'Sullivan hosts that with Adrian Clark and Mark O'Hare, who have been in fine form towards the end of the Premier League season, and I'm sure they'll carry that into Euro 2020, even though it's 2021. Right, I'm going to tell you about the offer first of all, which is the ongoing offer. It is, as we know, on all sports. It's for new customers only. 0% commission on all sports for 30 days. So that includes your Greyhounds. That includes your Euro 2020. All sports, that is 0% commission for new customers for 30 days. And you must use the bonus code INSIGHTS, as I'm sure you know by now. Use the bonus code INSIGHTS for that. Right, shall we get into some previews, gentlemen? And we're going to start with the Cazoo Oaks, which takes place tomorrow as we're looking at it. 4:30 tomorrow. And Santa Barbara sits pretty decent at the top of the betting after just 2 runs. And she was beaten last time.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Santa Barbara is 3.65. Snowfall at 6.8. Tiona 7.4. Ziada is 7.2. Then Saffron Beach 14.0. Dubai Fountain is 15.5. Divinely 17.0. And then you're into the big prices after that.
All right. So I can, drum roll please, reveal to everyone that nobody is going for Santa Barbara. And I suppose that's unsurprising. If we just flesh that out a little bit and get a selection from you, if we can, Rixie, your views on Santa Barbara, why she is as short as she is, and who do you like against her?
Well, look, I suppose that the main thing, the reason the price she is probably because of the man who trains her and who owns her, and her general profile. She ran well in a classic, but and look, I think in terms of ability on form, I can see why she's that kind of price. But I'm happy to be against her because of the test. I'm just not sure 12 furlongs around a stiff track like Epsom is gonna bring out the best in her. They said she didn't handle the dip at Newmarket. Aidan O'Brien said physically she's like a big 5-year-old colt. So that doesn't really kind of bode well for her handling the undulations of Epsom. So whatever she is, 9-4, 5-2, or should I say 3.5 on the Matchbook podcast. I'm very more than happy to take her on.
Yeah, indeed, 3.65 as you just seen for Santa Barbara. Who are you going to take her on with, Rixie, and why? We all know that you're copying Deasy with one of your selections, but who are you being original with?
I don't know, because I don't know what DC selections are. Just tactically, it doesn't. There's a potential here for this not to be like a really strong run Oaks, by the way. Potentially, Dubai Fountain, Mystery Angel, and Snowfall all like to go forward, but they don't. They're not kind of really strong kind of galloping types. Well, Dubai Fountain is, but Franny Norton's going to ride. He's a canny jockey. He's not going to go out and set this up to be a real test and set it up for the rest. So it's got potential to not be a a serious test of stamina that you might think for a classic. Look, I suppose the main selection is going to be the Roger Varian trained Zayada, despite her being drawn in stall 1, which statistically is quite a negative over this course and distance historically. So look, that is a negative, but I just think she's got the best form in the race. I loved her run at Chester. The real key, not only does she have the strong form, I think the real key for me with her, she looks very straightforward. She just does everything nice. It doesn't pull. Mentally, she looks strong, and I think there's quite a few fillies in here. A, kind of look like they could be too keen, and B, look like they might not stay. But I think she's kind of going to stay better than a lot of these, and mentally she's stronger than a lot of these. And then C, she's got the best form in the race. So it's going to be, for me, I'm hoping the draw. Look, the draw is, I would have been much keener if she was drawn in 6 or 7. You've got to, whatever the reasons are for this, we all have our own opinions, but the draw is just the negative. It's the only negative. And any bit of rain they get, I think, would be a positive as well.
I think just to flesh out the draw, people might have their own reasons, but I think it's there for all to see, given the fact that you basically go through 2 turns early doors. So if you are drawn 1, you either use petrol going up a hill to get prominent, or you force yourself to sit and suffer on a rail. I mean, that's it. And it is a negative. There's no doubt about that. The one I was referencing, you copying Deasy on, we know it's the other way, but your big price about La Jacon, we know what Qualified did a few years ago. You with her?
Yeah, I like her. Just a couple of... I don't think it's a good Oaks, to be honest. And there's so many fillies in here that I think might not stay and might pull their chance away. And La Cajonde is by Frankel. She's out of a mare called Watata, which makes her a half sister to San Diego, an Irish Derby winner. I thought she ran very well in the Cheshire Oaks, and that's the key form line for me in this race, is the Cheshire Oaks, where Dubai Fountain was first, Zayada was second, and she was fourth. But I thought she shaped a hell of a lot better than the distance beaten. And I think the reason that at the end she was beaten that far is I think the ground was too soft for her. She's a very good moving filly. I think getting back on some nicer ground will help her. And I think she promises to stay better than a lot of fillies in here. So, look, I just... This race, I couldn't put off many horses in this race. It's mad. It's even madder that we're dealing with fillies. So, look, I just thought at a huge price. It wouldn't surprise me if she ran into the places at all. So, I'll give the 2 of those a shout. But obviously, as the prices suggest, Zayada is, obviously the more realistic chance of winning.
DC, flesh out La Jacon, if you will, and who else do you like?
Yeah, Rixie kind of said it there, but she's been well backed a few times by the lads. I like, especially at Chester, she was a double figure price the night before, and she went off. I think it was 5.5 in the day. And once she was beaten, she was given a very tender ride, very same as Divinely. They both finished 4th in their trials, but once they were beaten, they weren't ridden out, and she's probably been teed up for this. Again, it's a crazy price, and you're getting 4 places, so you're definitely worth a small win and a small place for her. And I just thought you always have to take note of when the O'Brien horses are backed heavily. Like there's obviously something there with her. So hope, and she's a good pilot and board as well. Will Buick is I think that's a good booking. The other one I disagree with Rixie about the best form in the race. I think Snowfall has the best form in the race by far. I think her win the Musidora, she absolutely smashed them. Different kind of track now, but Snowfall has plenty of experience. I like Aidan O'Brien. She had plenty of runs last year, plenty of experience, and that was a huge step up at York. I think that she can easily go off out in front and just dominate, and I could see her winning this fairly easily, I'd say, and I'm happy enough with the price of what did I say about Sarno? 6.8. I mean, that's almost the winning place price if you want, but I'd be happy enough to back her win only. Was very interested in Ziad as well, but I wouldn't touch her from stall 1. Wouldn't be going there at all. So we're disagreeing straight away, Rixie, and I'm usually wrong when I disagree with Rixie, but I'd be sweet enough at Snowfall now on this.
Did you want to mention Save a Forest as well? I've noted that down, or am I barking up the wrong tree?
Oh yeah, Save a Forest. I thought she was a bit. her run the last time in the Lingfield try was quite high catching. She's a big price as well. I'd probably have a small little winning place on her, but I'd be much more strong on Snowfall. Stable Forest made up a lot of ground the last time and looked like she was travelling well, but there was a few in that race. Like I don't know why she's such a big price at 40.0 compared to some of them, but I don't want to be having 3 bets in the race. So I'm going to stick with La Gioconda and Snowfall. La Gioconda is the Italian name for the Mona Lisa.
Thanks, very. He is just a wealth of knowledge.
It's usually Jonesy has that kind of trivia there, but so I feel your thunder. Or it could be French. I'm not too sure, but it's fine.
I'm gonna jump on your Snowfall bandwagon. I just the prices. I cannot see why she isn't favourite, and the other filly is, and Frankie is no negative whatsoever. And we saw that in the Guineas. If there's one filly I want to win it, it's Saffron Beach, but I don't think she'll stay. But Jonesy, you wanna have her on side?
Yeah, the prices I do for sure. I think Dixie's wrong. I think Deasy's wrong. The best form is generally classic form, and she has got it because she was second in the 1,000 Guineas, and she ran in the 1,000 Guineas to me like she was going to stay further. Now, I'm confident she'll get 10 furlongs. Whether she'll get 12 is a different matter. There are signs in the pedigree that she will, and there's signs that she won't. And her sire, New Bay, is putting a fair bit of stamina in. So I'm willing to take the chance because at the odds, and she was 14, was she, Dees?
14.0, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Winning place, especially with the 4 places, is a really good bet, in my opinion. Like you say, Jane Chapel-Hyam is a really good trainer who's been underrated for years. And she's starting to get some really quality horses this year, and Saffron Beach is among them. She's already a Group 3 winner. She ran really well in the Now Gwyn over 7 furlongs in a return. And she does keep getting better, and she looks very straightforward and tough. And it would be a good thing as well. Adam Kirby hasn't had a good few hours because he's obviously been jocked off John Leaper in the Derby. And then he got on the horse that's drawn stall 1 in the Derby. So it would be nice if he won the Oaks, but you've got to try and take that out of your mind. And when you do, I think, how is a horse that finished second in the Guineas, 14, and Santa Barbara, who finished 4th, still looking green and still with some stamina doubts? I think Santa Barbara will stay, but I think the inexperience is a big thing. How is one so far bigger than the other, having finished in front? So, yeah, Saffron Beach win in place for me.
I can, at the prices, it's a fair enough argument. Do we want to add anything to the Cazoo Oaks, gentlemen? Feel free to do so now, or forever hold your peace. Good, right, let's move on. That is the Cazoo Oaks done and dusted. We then go back to the start of the day, the first race of the Cazoo Derby Festival. It is the Woodcote Deasy.
So therein is at the top of the market at 3.5. Then you have Flaming Rib at 4.5, Oscula is 5.7, Dusky Prince is 8.6, Raging is 10.0, Zoltan Star is 11.5, Sienna Bonnie is 16.0, and then you're into the big prices.
I haven't managed to find a play in this, I confess, and I think Jonesy is equally as tepid. Rixie, you're towards the top of the market, are you?
Yeah, I am. I think Flaming Rib and Darien bring in a pretty good high level of form in this race, and they've got experience as well, and I think the two of those things are going to count. Just with the Belliard maybe in a bit better form than the Dascombe string, and Darien having form over 6 furlongs, I just thought he was the play. I thought he ran really well at Newbury the last day in a proper run race at Newbury. It was a conditions race that has thrown up some decent kind of early season type horses in the past, but they went a strong gallop that day, and I think just that experience of having a run like that on his side, I think that's the kind of race that will crown a horse. And I thought he was a little bit unlucky. He was still green. He got to the front under Oisin Murphy. Looked like he was going to win, and he half pricked his ears, didn't know what was going on. And then was knotted on the line, but then he picked up again. So I think now, hopefully, that race just crowns him The experience will stand him well here, and with Oisin Murphy on the board again, he's not going to lack for anything in this saddle. So, it's going to be Darien for me in this race.
At the top of the betting, Deasy, whose team are you?
Yeah, and like, just looking back over this race, you kind of want to be near the top of the market. There's a lot of favourites and shorties when it's so. I have gone for an 11.0 shot. I like Raging. I was looking back through his 3 races, and his last race particularly. No, it was a 3-runner race. But he ran. I think he ducked left out of the stalls, and he lost a bit of ground, but he ran a bit green. But he was a length down at the furlong pole. He'd been passed by the Mark Johnson horse Shadland, and he looked like he was going to get beat. And all of a sudden, it seemed to click, and he just got back up, and he was well on top of the line, and he was starting to go away from him. That was over 5 furlongs. I just at the price, I think that he's worth a small win and a nice place bet, because the Hannon horses, they come on for runs as 2-year-olds. So he was one that kind of stood out to me in a fairly open race, I think.
Yeah, and they've won it before. Won it with Legendary Lunch, who just touched off, I think, 16 to 1 shot Daniel's Flyer by about a nose. That was a few years ago. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that is worth focusing towards the top of the market. Incidentally, back on the Oaks, Giles Dexter, hello Giles, has been in touch and said Saffron Beach simply won't stay. So it's clear cut as that, apparently. I'm not sure if Giles was the guy that was giving you a load of abuse.
Giles doesn't like Jonesy, does he?
Was he your man who was talking about Zoffany? Love it.
And to be fair, Giles, he's absolutely bang on this occasion as well.
And then Zoffany horse won the 1,000 guineas.
There you go. Everyone was a winner out of that. Let's move on to the 2:35 at Epsom, 1 mile half a furlong. This contest is a well-backed horse at York last time. Irish Admiral heads the betting. DC.
Irish Admiral is 2.64. Then you have Starting is 5.9. Fox Duty Free is 9.0. Mostawa is 8.8. Murad is 11.0. Hartzadler is 13.0. Corazon Espinado is 13.5. Overright is 18.0. Mythical Madness is 15.0. And Plant the Dream is 20.0.
Stephen Jones, take it away.
Yeah, I put up Irish Admiral because I think it would probably win. And he ran well last time, but Friday, I feel a little bit forced into Friday because all my fancies are on Saturday. So I went round and round in circles with this, and I came down on the favourite, which is probably not a great idea, but he was clearly an eye catcher at York when he came from probably a bit further back than ideal, and he's with a trainer who gets them to progress in William Haggis, and who's only had him for 2 starts, having come from Ireland. So, yeah, Irish Admiral for me. I think there'll be a fair bit of pace in here. There are a couple of course specialists. I was tempted by one of them, but I think Irish Admiral will just be too good, too well handicapped, and for that reason, but I'm not for a horse as short as that. I'm not massively strong. It sounds like I'm pinching a living here, but that's who I'm going to go for.
Yeah, all in all, that was a pretty pathetic case. Well done.
It was really.
No,
I nearly sat this out. I nearly said, no, I'm going to sit this one out. But then I could have done that with nearly every race on Friday. And I thought, that you can't do that.
So just to flesh out Irish Admiral, I'm going to back 2 horses in this. Irish Admiral is one of them. William Haggis was at Newmarket, and as was Tom Marcan when this horse ran last time. And everyone was sort of saying, why is Tom here? It was to ride a different horse. But I watched the race with Haggis. Such a name dropper, and
my mate William,
holding hands, and he said what a good horse he is. He didn't stay; he needed to come back in trip, and lo and behold, he rocks up here. I do think he was well supported. I do think there's a really good horse in there. I think he's a well treated horse as well. But I also like Storting, and sometimes I'm wary of when horses win at a big price. And he won the Hunt Cup at a big price, but I thought that was enough to make him probably a bit closer to the favourite in the betting. So I thought he was a little bit big. I thought he was pretty good value for that. I don't think it was I don't think he nicked it at all. And just I think it's a £5 hike. I think it's fair enough. So I will have those two on side. Storting would be win and place. It'd be small stakes, both of them, but I'm going to have 2 bets in it. DC.
Irish Admiral is way too short in the betting. Crazy short. This is his 4th run, and he's been thrown into Epsom, which is a very unique track. I just think at the price he is, I wouldn't be touching him. Although he could be the best horse in the race. I wouldn't be backing him at that price around Epsom. I was fairly vocal to you last night about my thoughts on this race. I thought it was absolutely shite. So I'm just going to stick with something safe. I'm going to go for Corazon Espinado, the Simon Dow horse. Now his box, I think, is behind one of the stands at Epsom. He'll be able to walk to the course. He's plenty of course form. He's 13.5. He'll be getting 3 places in this. He's a grand small win and place bet. That's it really.
That's it for DC. Good bit of geography on the yard as well, and all the way from Cork. And what do you think, Rixie? You're always Storting, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, similar thoughts to a lot of you guys. Interesting that William Haggis thinks Irish Admiral didn't stay. I think they've given up too soon on the 10 furlong project myself. He was given an awful lot to do. I think he nearly sat last in that field. And I think the visual aspect of it looked like he didn't stay. But I think in reality, what happened was he used too much petrol to get into contention. And he just couldn't sustain it in the final furlong. I think if he was ridden closer to the pace, which I don't think they went hard that day, I think he would have sustained his run a lot better because he wouldn't have had to make up the ground. So they're dropping him down to a mile, but they're dropping him down to a mile on a pretty quick mile as well. There's not many quicker mile tracks around than Epsom, obviously. So, I just wonder, could this all happen potentially a little bit too fast for him? And if it does, I think he's a little bit short in the betting. I agree with you. I would have Storting and him closer in the betting. Definitely, I think Storting is just as well as handicapped as him. For all, I don't think I've ever backed a Micheál winner. I'm going to put this lad up. His run at Newbury earlier in the season, that form is working out well. He ran an incredible race there. He was far too keen, and he still had every chance at the furlong pole. And, obviously, given what he did earlier in the race, he weakened out of it. He dropped down to a mile then in the Thirst Hung Cup. And I thought he really enjoyed the drop down to a mile. He again travelled strong, not as strong as he did the last time. He was given a good ride by Tony Hamilton. And I just think if James Doyle can jump him out here, get him settled in the first 3 or 4 with the Haggis horse behind him, get a run on him early and maybe have a little bit more pace than him, I think he might be able to steal the race for him. So that's how I've envisaged this race going, but we shall see. After the race, it may not work out like that. So people will probably think I was going to say something about snorting, but I'll leave it off now. We're going to be professional. So yeah, snorting for me.
You basically said it already. Fine.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to pick up on something very quickly there. You talk about how the race is going to be run. I remember a few years ago when Tagruda won the Oaks, and all the other races on the day, it was quick ground that day. And honestly, you just couldn't come from off the pace. I often think when you have quick ground at Epsom, it can be difficult to make up ground for all that. It's a stiff finish, but it can really be a front runner's paradise. And I think the ground is going to be really interesting because they do not want to start on quick ground in case no rain arrives on Friday. So I think the watering can will be out. And, I even though we've got nice weather, I think just pay attention to maybe the early times because we're not certain to get quick ground necessarily, even though the weather's good at the moment, because they will not want to start it on good to firm in case the rain arrives. Does anybody want to add to anything ground-wise, what they're expecting? Just jump in.
Yeah, I had a look at the Going Stick earlier, and the year Anthony Van Dyke won it, I thought that was very quick ground. And the Going Stick, I think, is only 0.3 below what that was that day. But they're going to water, and there's potentially rain coming tomorrow, maybe between 1 and 4 mils. So just keep an eye on that. But if they don't get the rain, I think it's going to be quick ground. If you're looking for horses with cut, I think you're going to be out of favour.
So basically, depending on what happens, just wait till mind your bets, basically.
Mind your bets, yeah. Very good advice on this pod.
Jonesy ground, anything you want to add, or you don't have to?
Oh, it's going to be decent ground, isn't it? I think I'd imagine it would be good ground on Friday and quicker on Saturday would be my guess.
Depending on absolutely. But it'd be interesting to see how much rain does come tomorrow. There is a little bit forecast. Let's move on from that handicap to the first of the Group 1s in chronological order. It's the Coronation Cup. Deasy, prices.
Yeah, so Al-Azi is 1.925, Japan at 4.7, Mogul is 7.8, Pile Driver is 10.5, Alba Flora is 13.0, and Highland Chief is 42.0.
I'm very simply on this. Al-Azi, I love the horse. I think he's an ultra talented horse, but he's taken on some decent horses here in the form of Mogul in Japan. And if there is any firm in the growing description, so if it's good to firm in places, if there's any firm in the growing description, I think you have to lay him, because I'm convinced he doesn't want quick ground. So, depending on what they run on, just keep an eye on the times. But if there is good to firm in the growing description, then I will be laying him at that sort of price. DC?
Oh, I'd be laying him all day as well. I'm just trying to find a tweet I liked here yesterday. It says, Al-Azi being odds on for a Group 1 after beating a load of aggressive old boats the last time. I thought that was just spot on. He beat nothing of substance the last time, and Japan ran some cracker in the Derby there. He ran at Mogul as well as a top quality horse. Although I think maybe his travelling might have taken a bit out of him. Pile Driver hasn't become a bad horse overnight either. Although he had a terrible time with it the last time, and even I thought Highland Chief was far too big a price at whatever price he is. So I couldn't pick the winner out of the rest of them. So I think Al-Azi is just a lay at even money or anything around it.
Fair enough. And Jonesy, you're not with Al-Azi either.
No, I don't think there's any pace in the race, is there? And that won't suit Pile Driver, and it certainly won't suit Al-Azi. And on quick ground, I think that the Aidan O'Brien too will probably control it. I don't know whether one of the others might decide that they want to go on, maybe take a chance. But with Alpinista coming out, there just is no pace in the race, and I think Japan is the best horse, and I think they'll probably kick early in the straight, and that'll be it. Like Dee says, Japan's a high quality horse, and although he didn't win last season, he was coming up. He's running in Group 1s, and you go back 2 years ago, and he beat Crystal Ocean at York. So he's got the form in the book, and I just think he'll be better positioned than the rest of them. And for that reason, I think the way the betting is, I think it's a very brave man who goes in on Al-Azi, even though he probably in time turn out to be, he'll certainly win something really good on soft ground when he gets a good pace, but he's getting neither of those in the Coronation Cup.
And Rixie, I know that you couldn't find an official bet in this, so we will move on from that. That's the Coronation Cup, the first of the Group 1s on Friday. We move on to the last of the races on Friday, as far as the preview goes. And what prices have you got for this? This is the 345, and it is a 10 furlong handicap. Decent.
Yeah. So Blue Cup is 3.85, Dream With Me is 6.6, Victory Chime is 7.4, HMS President is 11.0, Straight to Hormuz is 8.0, Data Protection is 14.0, Sky Defender is 13.0, Water's Edge is 18.0, Your Hired is 13.5, and then you have Kaleidoscopic 17.5, Lawn Ranger is 24.0.
Fair price about yours, Rixie.
You're Hired, yes. I just think this, 3.85 about a horse Blue Cup. I think you need your head checking if you're backing him at that price. If he puts it all together, there's no doubt. I think he could win this race, but he's just been far too keen the last couple of times. Well, not the last time, especially. They've got a hood on him this time. I know Sheen Murphy's going to ride. That could be the key, but there's a couple of horses in this race who like to go forward, but not enough to put a mad gallop on that I think would help settle him. So, I I just thought with the Amanda Perrott team being in decent order this season, and you're hired having some course form and a good ability to run fresh, I thought he was worth a bet at around the 16-1 mark. Look, it's a very trappy race, but I just thought he was overpriced, and even I would give a shout to Data Protection maybe as well. I thought, given how keen he was at Chester the last time to stick around late in the race, suggested that he's in good order at the moment. But again, he's another who's just, he needs to settle a little bit better. But if David Egan's going to replace Nicola Curry here, and he might, look, Nicola's obviously a very good rider, but Dave might just be that little bit stronger, and the horse is not going to be as fresh. So he might be able to get a decent run out of him today. I just thought the way he shaped the Chester the last time, he was in decent order. I just thought maybe those two against the field, given I'd want to take the favourite on at that sort of price, those two were interesting. Both ran in this race last year and ran well. So, those two I thought were interesting.
Your hide and Data Protection for you. DC?
The last time Data Protection ran in Epsom, John Egan was on him. Dave is dead. Interesting trivia for there now again. I was up to him as well, but I
some of the most uninteresting trivia that you can give us. Yeah,
I did my research.
Does Simon Dowd train in Epsom?
He does, yeah, behind the stands.
Yeah.
There you go. No. Yeah. Not everyone gets to hang out with William Haggis and knows all the racing stuff. All right.
Touche, very good. Fun.
Yeah. Victory Chime would be my main pick in this, because course form, he won the last time at Epsom, and I think that he was going away from him at the end of the race. Now he beat Sky Defender, who again is a good horse around Epsom. I thought he was just given a brilliant ride. He's gone up a few pounds now again, but he's about 7.6. I think that's a nice price for him. And Rob Hornby is riding as well as any jockey at the moment. And the other one just at a bigger price. Although the price come in a small, but I like the Water's Edge, even though he has the worst draw in draw one. Does most of his running around Windsor, but his last run was kind of eye catching, and I was just sat out the back of the field and cut all the way through the field and finished third behind HMS President. I thought he's progressing on a nice bit. George Baker is a shrewd enough yard, and again, she's any kind of a winning place price. So I'd probably do winning place on Water's Edge and just win only on Victory Time.
Can I just alleviate your draw concerns as well? Because I think with over the 10, I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily.
Not as bad, yeah. But just it's all is there on the back of my mind.
Yeah, I think I got close. Anyway, I'm sitting this one out. I got close to him, but I think this is a frightening contest for me to have a bet in personally. Jonesy?
Yeah, it is quite frightening, even for me. Dream With Me is the one I like. I think it's typically progressive Mark Johnson horse. Went way too fast at Pontefract on the second start of this season, having won at Wolverhampton, and he just keeps progressing from run to run and travels really well. I think 10 furlongs is his trip, even though he's won over a bit further. And just, I think he's the ideal horse you want in this sort of race. He gets on the front end and just keeps galloping. And Mark Johnson won it last year with Sky Defender, who's off top weight. But I just think Dream With Me is better handicapped. And although it's up in class, obviously, the way he travels, I think he'd be able to cope with that class and just see it out. And I think, yeah, he's a fair bet.
We're done there, aren't we? Best bets on Friday at Epsom. I'm gonna kick us off straight away with the Oaks and with Snowfall. I think she is a lovely bet, particularly at 6.5. I think you said. I mean, I'd go win and place best bet, because I can't see how she's out the 4. Steve Jones, best bet.
I'd quite like it if I could have 2 best bets on Saturday and none on Friday, but that's not allowed. So I'm going to go for Japan, who I just think is quite solid.
Nobody
rushing to back that after.
Japan quite solid. Come on, Jones. For fuck's sake. Since when has Japan or his brother Mongrel ever been solid? Bloody hell.
That's very harsh.
Steve, you're going to be bringing Saturday Steve, we're going to call him. Saturday Steve.
He only gets paid for half the work for this pod, by the way.
DC, your best bet.
Do you get paid? Sorry. Snowfall is it? Yeah, Snowfall in the Oaks.
Snowfall as well. Rixie, your best bet.
I'll go with Derrin, please, in the Woodcote.
Not still one in the Oaks. That's very, very solid. Very
I knew
solid.
he was going to fire back soon. I didn't expect it to come that early.
Colo MJ's been on. That's Matt. That's what he thinks of Japan. Jonesy.
Oh,
might be right.
He looks cute there, to be fair.
For any pod listeners, that's an emoji dog next to Japan. Right, let's move on to Saturday and Derby Day, the Cazoo Derby. Should we go straight to prices? Let's do that. Oh, Aidan, tell you what, he's such a cheeky trickster, isn't he, Aidan? Such a cheeky little trickster.
Bang, bang.
Could have rung eight. Now he's just running 1. First time, I think, for about 15 years he's done that. Right, Bolshoi Ballet, 2.02.
Oh, when you were saying Aidan, no, I thought you meant Sully. Yeah, no, right. Go ahead.
Also,
Bolshoi Ballet is sitting at the top of the market at 2.02. John Leaper at 7.6. Mahaff at 7.6. Max Sweeney is 8.2. Hurricane Lane is 9.2. Third Realm is 13.5. One Ruler is 22.0. Southern Lights is 22.0. Youth Spirit is 30.0. Adair is 36.0. And you've Gear Up at 42.0.
Right, straight back in with Saturday Steve. It's the big one, the Cazoo Derby. Bolshoi Ballet or no?
It's got an outstanding chance, but it's a shade of odds on. So it's not a shade of odds on Derby for me. I think there's a lot more competition in there. And although it wouldn't surprise me.
I'm just going to jump back in for the sake of being specific. So he's 2.02 with Matchbook. So look, he's basically even money with Matchbook, just for the sake of being specific. Still not for you.
Not for me, no. It's way too cheap. It's far more competitive. I think it's a good derby. I think there's a lot of horses coming into this off the back of impressive wins, and obviously Bolshoi Ballet's one of them. I think everyone's getting a little bit carried away with the fact that McSweeney came out next time and won very impressive. Won the Irish Guineas, and so I don't think he was ready for that. So there's ways of picking holes in Bolshoi Ballet, and although when Aidan O'Brien only runs 1, he's obviously going to be quite confident, because when you look at the results in recent years, what he's been winning with, they're all bigger prices. I think the last horse that he won the Derby with, that was the first string of his, was Australia 7 years ago. So he must be confident, but I think there's a lot of decent horses in there, and one of them is Mohafeth, who I've been really impressed with. I thought this horse, when he won at Newmarket, it was only a handicap in April, and I thought he just moved like a quality horse. And William Haggis, no waste of time sticking him up into a listed race at Newmarket again. That's the Newmarket Stakes that Slip Anchor won. I think it was the last Derby winner to him, but Mishriff won it last year. So it has a habit of throwing up decent horses, even these days. And he just cruised through the whole race and beat Secret Protector. Okay, he wouldn't have the strongest form, Secret Protector, but he looked just a class apart. And when you consider Secret Protector, there's a Godolphin horse, Charlie Appleby, who had decent form. I mean, in the context of a listed race, and he was rated a stone higher than Mohafeth, and he's just brushed him aside. He was just so impressive. And I think as a Frankel out of the Sea the Stars mare, going up to 1.5 miles is only going to help. And if that is the case, and he improves for going at 1.5 miles. The way he travels, this is a class horse, and he's got a nice draw. So he's got a hell of a lot going for him, Mohafeth. And I think at the prices, there's no way he should be what? Is it something like 7.5 or something, Dees?
7.6. Better again.
7.6 when the favourite's 2.02. Yeah. I know which way I want to go.
Mohafeth for Steve Jones, Rixie.
Yeah, I suppose maybe tactically I'll touch on the race. Bolshoi Ballet, Gear Up, Hurricane Lane, McSweeney, they all kind of like to go forward, but none of those again are tearaways, so it could potentially get a little bit tactical. And I think that could suit Bolshoi Ballet because he's got brilliant early tactical speed. He's straightforward. I just hope Ryan Moore doesn't overcomplicate things here and hold him up and in midfield or whatever, get him up there in the van, second or third. He's a Galileo, full brother to Southern France. He's going to stay well. Get him up in the van. But look, I think we'd all agree that Bolshoi Ballet is obviously the most likely winner of the race, but I just don't think his form entitles him to be that short, to be honest. I think Steve made a very good point earlier. People are kind of saying, "Oh, he beat McSweeney easily" or whatever. But McSweeney, I think that he had bad nasal discharge for a week after that race. Jim Bulger said it was on good ground. It was over 10 furlongs. I don't think anyone in their right mind can use that as a positive for the form of the Derrinstown. And if you take him out of the race, I think he's beat all listed horses. These are the best horses he's going to take on without a doubt. So I'm more than happy to take him on at the prices. And at the prices, Third Realm, I just don't know how that horse is still 14-1, especially given he's a Group 1 pedigree. And go back and watch how this horse handles Lingfield. This fellow was like a little bloody motorbike going around the corner at Lingfield, quickened up around the bend. It was I haven't seen a horse handle Lingfield as well as that in a good race in a long time, and that could be his a trump card for him here. Plus as well, I think in terms of form, I think he's got the third best level of form in the race. I think Pure Hype has got Mohafeth and John Leaper shorter than him in the betting. So at around 14-1 there, Third Realm is definitely the value bet for me in the Derby. He's been drawn 2 again. A couple of the fancies have got the coffin boxes in the classics this week, which isn't good. But I just think at the prices, that 14-1 or whatever it is much too big. Mohafeth, I just don't think his form entitles him to be that short. Same with John Leaper. John Leaper was very keen the last time, maybe mentally didn't look ready. McSweeney, all his form has come on, soft and heavy ground, although the ground the last time at the Curragh wasn't too bad. Hurricane Lane, I love as a horse, but I just think if he wanted a bit more juice in the ground to be at his very best, although he will stay very, very well. And then, the rest, they're all much of a muchness. Third Realm with that pedigree, trained by Roger Varian, who's got his team in very good order. He is a very, very, very big price, and without a doubt, the value bet in the race for me. And I'll also take my medicine in this race, just in terms of tactics as well. It mightn't be that strongly run. Bolshoi Ballet is the one to beat. So with Bolshoi Ballet likely to be on the pace, Third Realm probably going to be held up. I'm going to back Third Realm without Bolshoi Ballet as well.
So, and just to confirm your bets then, so you're very keen on Third Realm, you'd back him outright and you'd back him in the without market as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
I think he's a winning place bet, Third Realm. 14-1, can easily see him in the 3, no doubt.
Okay. I just wanted to add that you'll have seen a margin on those prices. We're 48 hours out, so, decks just come out, so they will tighten up. But it's just worth, I think, pointing out on those prices that you saw. 2.02 there, Bolshoi Ballet. Steve Jones, you wanted to come back in. You found Third Realm last time. Well done.
Yeah, I did. And I thought the thinking behind that was I thought he would improve for soft ground. I didn't, even though he won at Nottingham on fast ground, I thought that he just about got away with it. And I don't think in a track like Nottingham is pancake flat, and Epsom, a track like that, I'd be worried about the ground quickening up for him. I was just interested. Two things. I think Bolshoi Ballet will drift. I don't see how that can be heavily backed at that price. So I think that he'll drift. And I was a bit disappointed. I thought Rixie was gonna tip it there, because I was gonna see if we could get a message to Ryan Moore not to overcomplicate things, because he probably sits there on Friday night thinking, I'm going to make this really complicated. It's the Derby.
Well, look, I don't care what anyone says. Ryan Moore over the last couple of years hasn't been riding at his best, and I think a large part of it has got to do with him overcomplicating matters. Holding up Galileos in races where they're going to promise to be stay. Get him up front, mate. Frankie Dettori style, first 5, trained by Aidan O'Brien, stay well, bang. He should have won a lot more races than he should. But to be fair to Ryan, he's been a very good order this season.
Ryan's a huge fan of the Match Betting podcast. And
Ryan doesn't give a shit about anyone, does he? So let's be honest. And he's not going to see this, and even if he did, he's not going to care. So good on him.
That is actually the most accurate thing you've said all podcast. He couldn't give two hoots what anyone says about anything, what wins, what doesn't, and there you go. He certainly doesn't like me approaching him for an interview, unless it's a Group 1. Right. Just to add to what you've all said, I think Bolshoi Ballet's not a take-on job, but I think he's too short. I want to back Jim Bolger's horse, Max Swinney. I don't think they'll go forward necessarily with him. But he's won a classic, and he came back wrong after the Derrenstown. So I think the Bolshoi Ballet form, if you like, it's overplayed the gap between them. I'm going to back him. I'm also going to have a silly one, and I'm going to try and overcomplicate things. Last year, we know what happened, right? The Emmett got away from them, and nobody could go with him. What if this year they suddenly go, well, we don't want that to happen, and they go too hard, right? They go so hard, and Adam Kirby on a Dayar, he's got no option. He just sits out the back from stall 1 on a horse that's definitely going to stay, that was second to third realm last time, keeping on. And prior to that, I don't know how he got involved, given how Sandown was riding. And from last to first, a Dayar is, for me, a bet, because they're going to go too hard because of what happened 12 months ago. That's probably absolute nonsense, but he's a massive price. Win and play small, a Dayar, but main bet is Max Swinney. And that brings us nicely, what a link, to Micheál Deasy.
Thanks, Tom. I
just credited my own link, haven't it?
Yeah, Max Swinney. It was a coin toss for me between Max Swinney and Mahath, but I'm going to go for Max Swinney because I think any bit of juice in the ground is going to suit him, and Jim Bolger just does what he wants this year. Jim Bolger is amazing. He's one of the greatest trainers of all time, I think, and we don't actually give him enough credit in Ireland for what he's done for the game. And I'm glad he has a horse to this at the moment, man. I think Max Swinney will definitely outrun his odds. And again, any bit of rain, I think Giles said there in the comments that there's loads of rain forecast. That's going to be massively in his favour. And I think at 7.6, he's a cracking bet. The other one I like is Gear Up, Mark Johnson's horse. I think he's vastly overpriced. He's 42.0 here, probably going to get bigger on the day. I think he's bigger on the books at the moment, but he was nominated as Mark Johnson's Derby horse last year when he was winning very easily at York. He finished off the season winning in the Criterium de St. Cloud on heavy ground, beating Bolshoi Ballet. I think he was second or third favourite for the Dante. He ran a grand race. He missed the start, stayed on, lovely pipe opener. You're getting 4 places in this. He's a crazy big price at 50.0 or something like that. So I'm definitely backing him win a place. And again, like a bit of juice in the ground could suit him as well.
I think we're done, aren't we, Derby? Let's move on. We've got 4 more races to get through.
Just before we wrap up on the Derby, can I just say quickly, it's a disgrace Padraig Beggy hasn't got a ride here for Ballydoyle. The GOAT Beggy. Just like, come on.
It's not fair, is it?
It's not like, this man's been riding the Tory and all these boys to sleep for years and won Irish derbies for O'Brien, can't even get a ride now. But
what was the horse he's rode? He beat the Irish
Eagles. Oh no! Oh yeah.
Rode him as a stallion for the lads. He's lucky he has a job at all anymore. That was Anthony Van Dyke beach. Yeah.
It was. It was. Was it Sovereign?
Sovereign.
Anyway,
yeah.
Let's move on to
We digress.
the first race on the day, 10 furlong handicap, Deasy prices.
So these prices are all over the place here now. So King Frankel is 3.05. Then you have Patient Dream is 4.4. Great Guardian is 5.1. You Freak Out is 6.6. Chase the Dollar is 8.2. And then it's Big Prices the rest. Now we should just mention all these ones out. These are very early markets, so these prices are going to get better as the markets become more liquid.
Saturday, Steve, who do you fancy?
I fancy Freak Out. And I think it's an interesting race because Mark Johnson's got 3 fancied runners in this. And you would think this was just his sort of race. 3-year-old handicap over 10 furlongs on a Saturday. Worth a few quid. And his record in it is 17 runners in the last 10 years. And he's only had 2 placed. Now, the flip side of that is King Frankel finished second in what is generally one of the best 10 furlong handicaps for 3-year-olds in the calendar, the London Gold Cup at Newbury. But he was beaten a fair way. And I think he's one that's going to want to go up in distance and will improve for going up in distance. And another horse that is going up in distance because he's been running over a mile is Freak Out. And George Bowie is in great form. I think since the start of May, he's at 33%, 15 winners from 45 runners since the start of May. So he's got his horses in great form. Freak Out ran really well last time in what I thought was a good race for the grade at Newmarket. And he came home really well from an unpromising position, which isn't easy to do at Newmarket. It's not easy to come from off the pace. And I think the only reason he was trying to come from off the pace is because over a mile, he wasn't quick enough to go the gallop. He's only been with George Bowie this season, so there's potential for more improvement. They got cheek pieces on for the first time, which, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it wasn't an obvious move. I didn't think there was anything wrong with his attitude. Maybe it just get him to travel a bit better. But I think the distance will do that, and he'll get a nice lead. I think there's a fair bit of pace in there. The other one I liked was Camelot Tales, but I came down on Freak Out. I think certainly at the prices, he's got a good chance. And draw 9 might not be ideal, but there's going to be a good pace on, I'm sure. So that'll help.
It looks that way. Freak Out for you, Rixie?
Yeah, just from a kind of a pace and a tactical point of view, Mark Johnson's got 3 horses in here: King Zane, King Frankel, Chase the Dollar, and those look to be kind of the pace in the race as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm happy to take on King Frankel at the prices. This just could all prove a little bit too quick for him. He looks a kind of a leggy, galloping Frankel to me. He was slow into stride as well at the last day and a bit slow away. And I just think this could all happen a little bit quick for him. So he's a favourite I'm happy to take on. I'm going to stick up Great Guardian. His run the last day at Sandown, he shaped a little bit better than the distance beaten behind Siskinani. But I just think that ground at Sandown was way, 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 way too soft for him. He's going to get back on to a much firmer surface this time around. And I thought at the prices he was the bet. I'll just give a quick mention to Patient Dream as well. I absolutely loved what he did at Epsom the last day. To do so much wrong, have a bad trip out wide and still win. And the horse that he beat, Cool Cat, is Frank the Form. He's won since. I thought the engine on that horse was impressive, but just how keen he was, I don't know going up in trip is the right move. But if that was just freshness and whatever, and he improves to the distance, he's going to go close as well. But I just thought that the most solid kind of vehicle and at a bigger price, crucially, was the Sylvester de Souza ridden Great Guardian.
You can probably answer the Patient Dream concerns, DC.
Actually, Rixie made a great case for him there. I like him, and there's been money for him since this morning. He was the one I picked on. I'm just sticking with the course for him. I thought he was very good the last time. He, as Ricky said, he kind of did a lot wrong, but he still got there. He's been gelded as well over the summer. I think that'll probably help him. He improved for most runs last year, going up in distance. I think he'll be fine. The fact that he handles Epsom as well, I think, is massively in his favour. Bit of money for him, and Oshie Murphy is booked this time, so I'm happy enough to stick with him.
I'll just I'm going for Great Guardian as well. I don't have much to add to Rixie. I'm a bit nervous about the pace. If sometimes when Mark Johnson has more than one in it, they control the pace, and this horse was a bit keen last time. But I think SDS will be up there, and he's still got a 22% strike rate at Epsom. SDS, he's just relentless there. So I think he's worth having on board. Great Guardian. Move on to the 235. It's the Princess Elizabeth Stakes, DC.
Yeah, so Memora is the favourite at 3.8. Then you have Posted as 5.1. Lazuna is 5.1. Statement is 4.6. Parents' Prayer is 8.6. There's big prices in the rest of them. So
DC, you can come straight in, DC, with your selection.
Yeah, this would be probably my least strong selection of the week. I think I've gone for Posted. I just looking through them. I think Posted probably has some of the best form of them all last year, particularly kind of when she chased home Voracious. Again, she's had a little pipe off there now. She ran fine behind Lady Boathorpe without lighting up without being the best run in the world. And just think at the price she's an okay bet, but this wouldn't be one of my strongest ones at all. No.
Steve?
I'm with one of the 3-year-olds, Ilikato, who I was quite impressed with last time, and had run in the Fred Darling at Newbury, so that gives Ilikato a lot of ground to make up on Statement, but didn't get much of a run from the rear and wasn't knocked about. And even though she was 100 to 1 shot that day, I think she's a lot better than that, and she proved that at Goodwood. This is what I hinged for me. She came from off the pace, she got plenty of cover, and she didn't look like she was going to finish in the first 3, and it was only 6 runners at Goodwood. And then she really picked up in the closing stages really well. And the pace wasn't strong at Goodwood. That was a listed race. But there was substance in the form, because Agincourt, who was second, who she beat and knows, it finished ahead second to Nazif last year, who went on to win Group 1s in the Duke of Cambridge at Royal Ascot. So there was real substance in that form. And I thought when she gets a decent pace, which I'm sure she would get in this race, I think there's a lot of horses that like to go forward. And that'll set her up for her. And from stall 3, she should get a nice position and see it out. So, yeah, I'm with Ilikato. And I'm sure Rixie is as well, because he likes Mick Shannon horses.
Declan?
Yeah, I just, again, from a tactical point of view, Lottie Marie, Memora, Tomorrow's Dream, Statement, they all like to go forward. So this should be an honest run race. I like Statement, but not at the prices DC mentioned there. And just because I'd be worried about the ground, I thought I fancied her. I thought she'd run. I backed her anti-post actually for the Guineas, but I think the ground was just was too quick for her there, and Buick maybe kind of lit her up a bit as well, and she just did a little bit too much. I just think she wants a little ease in the ground. Good ground might be fine for her, and I'm not sure she's going to get this. So I probably at the price that DC mentioned there, I'll sit it out.
Yeah, I'm the same. I couldn't find a bet in the Princess Elizabeth. The Diomed is up next. It's a tight enough little heat. This, I think Century Dream was just about heading the betting, DC.
2 seconds. I'm just getting in order here for this one. Century Dream is the favourite at 3.8. And then you have Maximal is 4.1, Bellrock is 5.6, Prince AG is 5.6, Marie's Diamond is 8.2, Duca Hazard is 9.2, Escobar is 13.5, Otis is also 13.5, and Foras is 36.0.
Would you believe it? Things you thought you'd never see, Declan Rix and Steve Jones in agreement. It's just absolute scenes.
Let Jonesy go first. Let Jonesy go first. I don't want to steal his thunder.
Exactly, Steve. Off you go.
Well, first of all, this DC always ribs me about saying about official ratings. This is the prime example of people just taking official ratings as read, because Century Dream is £4 clear of the rest of the field and his favourite, and I just cannot understand how this horse could possibly win. And people will say, oh, it's won the race twice before. Yeah, but last year was at Newbury. on when it couldn't fail to win on softer ground, because King of Comedy was second. I mean, you can hear the barking from him from miles away.
I take it you had five. He was 5-1, so 6.0. I take it if you couldn't fail to win, you made a fortune, James.
And do you know what? Actually, and this is going to sound like the biggest trumpet blowing of all time, but I backed it about 12-1 because I thought it was going to be very soft ground, and he just about got away with it. But
of course he did. He bought that T-shirt out of the winnings.
Thank you, Rixie. Thank you. And then the race that Century Dream won. When the Diomed that he won at Epsom 3 years ago, a long time ago, beat Gabriel. Oh, there's another one. So I don't think the form of those races was all that great. And you're backing a horse at favourite that got beaten 20 lengths, albeit in the lock-ins last time, but got beaten 20 lengths. I know he went a bit fast, but he's just not in the sort of form. Anyway, less about Century Dream, more about Duke of Hazzard, because I think this is a great bet. If you go back a couple of years ago, he was winning Group 2s, Group 3s, really promising horse. Last year, it didn't quite happen for him because he was up in grade. He was third to Mahatha at Ascot. I mean, you can't knock that form. Second to Space Blues at Goodwood. And there's another thing. He likes Goodwood and he likes turning tracks. And if he can handle Goodwood, I know Epsom's the other way round, but you'd be hopeful that Duke of Hazzard is gonna handle Epsom pretty well. And I think the run at Ascot last time, that was his first run of the season. He always comes on for his first run of the season. That was also his first run after a wind operation. So you would hope that if the theory is that the second time is the best time to catch them, that's another positive. I thought he ran really well. Now, he does have ground to make up on Prince Aiji and Oh This Is Us, who was a surprise winner of that race. That was a listed race. But he ran really well there. He travelled as well as anything. And he didn't have blinkers on. And he's done most of his winning in blinkers. And they're back on again. So he's just got so much going for him. And also, Paul and Ollie Cole, 0 from 19 in April when Duke of Hazzard ran. Now, since then, 3 from 20. So that says the horse is generally is stepping forward as well for a run. So I think this is what was he, 9.2 or something?
He is, where's he gone there now? 9.2, yeah.
So if Duke of Hazzard wins, I'm going to wear Daisy Duke shorts and I'm going to paint my car like the General Lee and go na 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 and drive around the village because I think he's great bet.
Duke of Hazzard, a good bet. He likes Goodwood, even though a couple of starts ago he finished 15 lengths behind Century Dream there. Rixie.
Oh, bloody hell. Poor Jones, he's getting it from everywhere today.
Rixie.
No, I think Jones, he's wrapped that up very well, to be fair. Century Dream, I just don't know how you can back him at that kind of price based on the last run. I know it was a strong run race and he sat closer to the pace and he was a little bit keen, but he just didn't shape like a horse who looked in good order there. Maximal drops in trip on a quick track on quick ground. I'm happy to take him on as well as a 3-year-old Bellrock. To me, I'm not sure he's going to like the drop in trip on a quick track as well. Prince IG, I fully respect. And even at kind of around, what is he, around the 13-2 mark, that's probably a touched over price as well. But yeah, I just think Dukes of Hazzard could have too many years for these. But I think he barely stays a mile as well. That's the other thing. So I would suggest with him maybe getting out in running somewhere along the line, because I think he could travel up well, but potentially something like Prince IG could end up nutting him on the line and be just outstaying him a little bit. But yeah, but at 8-1, he's overpriced. But I would recommend getting out and running at I don't know, I could see him touching 11-4 threes, maybe even a bit shorter.
I'm just going to back win and place, most likely pace angle, which is Marie's Diamond. And he's had a run at Epsom before and wasn't too far beaten by Space Blues in the Surrey Stakes. And that's a really good bit of form. He hasn't been in perfect form recently, but that's often what I liked about one of Mark Johnson's. And I thought the horse was a fair enough price, win and place, with the Epsom Maestro on board. Has everyone had a go at this? Or have I missed you out, Dees?
Missed me out.
Go on,
Jonesy,
Dees.
can you remember the last horse I took the piss out of you out about ratings?
No.
Four lass down the bottom here when she won it. When she went Lingfield, when she was
That's
something
the
like
full.
20.
That's the full house up now. Everyone giving it to Jonesy.
Yeah. She was something like 28 pounds inferior to the Angel and skated home. I'm not going to tip her today, though. I like Bill Rock, lads. I thought he was very impressive the last time at Newmarket. Now this is a completely different track, but I think he might be after improving as a 5-year-old. I thought he won very easily. Oshie Murphy is on him. Again, he's a winning place price, so I'd be having enough on the place to cover the win stake and hope he hits the frame.
Bell Rock for Deasy. We move on to the easiest race of the day, which is the Dash Handicap. Do you know, I'm not sure it's worth running through the prices here because it's so open. I think it's just best we quote the prices when we give the tips. If nobody minds, one of my strongest fancies of the day runs in this. So I'm going to talk about who finished an unlucky third, I think it was, in this race a couple of years ago. When with a clearer run, I think he would have won. He's £4 higher here. And all this crap about you've got to be drawn high and look at the recent winners of this race. You can hit so much trouble if you're a hold-up horse drawn high. I think he's beautifully drawn low over towards the far side where he's going to get a massive toe over. That's where all the pace is. He should hopefully have therefore a clear run, but at pace, and that's what he wants. And I think he is a very fair price and win and place. I'll be having a good go at Blue de Vega, who is DC.
13.5.
Oh, is that all? Fair enough. I'm really disappointed by that.
These are early prices. They'll get better.
I think you price up on the day. Steve Jones.
I'm going lowish as well. Yimu. I think this has got a great chance. And before I get on to this, the ground is going to be quite quick. Unlike at Goodwood, when Century Dream beat Duke of Hazzard when it was heavy, which was the reason for that. But I'll just slip that in before I move on to Yimu, who's totally unexposed over 5 furlongs, or particularly because he started off unusually for Dean Ivory, who's got a brilliant touch with sprinters. He started off over a mile and then has gradually stepped down, won 3 times over 6 furlongs a couple of years ago, but seems best at 5 furlongs and seems to have a lot of pace. So it was a surprise that they were running him over a mile, unless he's just got quicker, as some horses can. Last season did particularly well, was third to Stone of Destiny in the Portland, when perhaps wasn't as well placed as some of the others, because he was very prominent, and that's obviously 5.5 furlongs. And I think he's got a lot of pace, this horse, to be able to win on the sharpest track in the country. And with the fact that he is unexposed, the potential's there for him to be well handicapped, which I think he is. I think he ran fine on his return to action. I think he tightened up there when he was third at Newmarket in a small field, and he copes with big fields. And there's a lot of pace over there. I just think that he'll probably sit in behind the likes of Ornate, who's drawn two boxes with him, who goes very quick, and I think won this the last time it was run. So it's an open race, but Yimu, I think, is very interesting.
Yimu for Steve, who is what price, DC, and who do you like?
15.0 for Yimu. I like Sunday Sovereign. Now, I just on the official ratings, I wasn't taking the piss out of Steve there. That was good advice, and it's something I do take note of.
No, too late now, mate. You were taking the piss out of all week.
For 5 furlong sprints, I generally look for the horse with the highest rating.
You can't say that now because you want a couple of tickets to the cricket in the summer. No.
Cricket is just shit hurling. But anyway, Sunday Sovereign. So Sunday Sovereign is he's number 4. He's drawn 19. It looked like a few years ago that Paddy Toomey had really got one over there on the old King Power lads when he sold them to them. Just I think he went off favoured for the Norfolk at Ascot. Went to Roger Vere and just didn't do anything at all. No, he's actually been changed to Eastby this year, and he ran at York behind Copper Knight, but he ran an absolutely cracking race there 2 weeks ago, finishing second. He seems to be improving. He was absolutely rapid when he was trained in Ireland, and again, he does the money is coming from now. He's in day 8.2 for this. I think that the 5 furlongs in Epsom will suit him down to the ground. It's just going to be absolute speed, got a nice draw, and as well as that, he is the chosen one of the King Power horses. Sylvester was on him, so I think that's a tip in itself. So very strong on him.
Sunday Sovereign, and Rixie's sitting this one out because he's a lazy shit. Let's go on to best bets. Too many runners. That's not what he said. It's not what he said at all. I'm completely making it up. Epsom Saturday.
Because I don't tend to bet. I tend to bet between 7 furlongs and 12. And I am a lazy shit, to be fair. So I'm not going to argue against that.
Not at all. Not at all. Epsom Saturday, best bets. Rixie, go first. Who's your best bet on Saturday?
We're going to go big and go in the Derby. Third Realm, win and place. This horse is grossly overpriced. Third Realm for me. Kingston Hill, I think, nearly won the Derby from stall 2. So,
second to Australia, right before winning the Ledger.
There you go.
Steve Jones,
Duke of Hazard.
Just like that. Saturday, Steve goes for
Duke of Hazard.
Luke
Duke.
So buoyed by the Century Dream Goodwood hammering. Deasy, who is your best bet?
Sunday Sovereign in the dash.
And I'm taking you on in the dash because we're crazy with Blue de Vega as my best bet.
Great.
Oh, those guys on a Matchbook horse racing pod are just so crazy. Right. We have all gone completely mad, haven't we? That's it, isn't it? We've got nothing else to do. We're just going to pretty much say goodbye. We're going to wish you all the best for the weekend. Steve's going to say bye.
Best of luck in the cricket. All out in the cricket, New Zealand. All out in the cricket.
That's your cricket update. Deasy.
Might as well head away home, so off New Zealand are all out. Nothing else to watch.
Deasy saying goodbye. Rixie, thank you, sir. Go watch the cricket.
Thanks. I'm actually a new brand ambassador for cod liver oil. Sign up.
Get your cod liver oil. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a good Cazoo Derby festival. Bye bye.